Hey, welcome to Coleman's Office Hours, 7A Loan Underwriting Training. Thank you all for joining us. We've completed week 7, 3 weeks left. Hope you're enjoying the process, you're learning something. If you have any late-minute questions, just send us an email over there. Hey, I think we have our stealth panelist back. Nathaniel, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. Let's go to the poll questions, Joseph. Nathaniel, the regulatory maximum interest rate on an SBA 7A loan is prime plus 2.75. What do you think?
True. Oh.
I got you.
I should have let them answer.
Also, but it's false. We can go higher on lower loans, correct? We can go prime.
Well, it's a trick question then.
Yeah, it is a trick question.
You're right, because if it's under a certain loan amount, you can go up to, I think, prime plus 6.
Right. So that's we're all programmed to do prime plus 2.75, but in those smaller loan programs, you can go higher. That's the trick question. Number 2, you may collect a late fee of 5% on the payment of SBA 7A loan if the payment is more than 10 days late. I put that in here because I don't believe I addressed this in any of the modules. It's in the SOP. It was in the SOP reading. It's something that you should know. And Nathaniel, everyone's answered. What do you think?
True.
That's true. You can collect a late fee. Absolutely. Franklin Brothers, our case study. We have a $2.5 million purchase price. The appraisals come in light, $2.3 million. You may close the loan. Is that true, false, or true with a caveat? And Nathaniel, everyone's answered. What's your answer?
True with a caveat.
What's the caveat, Nathaniel?
Well, you're still going to have to make up the difference with either a seller carry and or additional equity from the borrower. Actually,
the SOP says you can close it. Just document why you think you can close it. You are probably more correct in the SOP as a prudent lender. I would probably want to either get additional seller carryback, perhaps get some additional collateral, but you can close it with the documentation. I believe what I said in the training was, Nathaniel, you can close it saying, look, this is a 25-year loan. We're not going to be repaid from sale of collateral. We're being paid from the cash flow of the bank, cash flow of the business. We also have other equipment. We're in a good position. So my recommendation is, hey, guess what? We can just go ahead and close it. I think you're fine. Would you have an issue with that if you were my boss?
No, because again, if we have demonstrated or are confident in the repayment ability from cash flow, you're not in the collateral in the loan-to-own business, so therefore you feel that the primary source of repayment is viable.
And the threshold is 90%. If the appraisal comes in less than 90%, then you have issues. You have to get SBA's approval to close the loan, which is code for get more collateral.
Get more collateral.
Number 4. Has the recent IRS hack affected your processing of IRS Form 4506? I'm curious for you out in the field if you're experiencing that. And I'd like to know. Excuse me. No one's been affected yet. I hear that the e-certify program from the IRS has been put on hold, and right now we have to go back and do this manually. So if you want to process a 4506, I would encourage you to get that early in the process. Now, maybe that's a temporary thing. I'm just putting you on notice that you may have a delay in getting that with a snail mail delivery system. Very good. Week 7, we talked about loan structure. We talked about appraisals. Nathaniel, we did something a little bit different. We had Neil Patel come on, talk about business appraisals. We had Gary Reynolds talk about environmental issues, discussed insurance, and again, we discussed loans to alien, what's the term? Non-citizens from that standpoint. Let's go into the questions. Questions? Oh, they're there. The applicant's green card is expired. Can I still close the loan? Obviously, he will get a new one. What would you do, Nathaniel?
I would not, because if it's expired, the status is in limbo in terms of whether they will ultimately get a new one. Anything could happen. the INS or ICE could be hacked.
And this actually is fairly common. People forget about them. These cards are good for 10 years. I would tend to agree with you because we don't have an eligible borrower. We're in limbo. Obviously, I think it makes sense that they will get a new one, but we need to have documentation. We need to have documentation. And that one, I think, would probably be a little prickly. Here's a question regarding clarification of requirements for independent business appraisals. We know that we need an independent valuation if the amount is over $250,000 of tangible assets. But what about the situation where there's new money added to the financing package for things like new equipment, working capital, and other things not directly related to the acquisition? And I think the question is assuming, let's say it's a $200,000 purchase price. If these additional items bring the amount of intangible assets financed over $250,000, do we still need an independent appraisal if all of our tangible assets are less than $250,000 in the purchase price? I believe that's what the questionnaire is asking.
Well, you want my opinion?
Yes.
Okay. Well, actually, I believe there are two separate issues. The business acquisition is one use of proceeds. The additional financing is to provide additional financing support for the going concern after it's acquired. So I don't think that you need an appraisal for the additional financing, and I don't consider that additional financing to be considered. I don't consider it intangible.
You know what I would do? This would be my answer. I would call my business appraiser, the one that does work for us, and I would have them answer the question. It's a little convoluted. I always sort of have a philosophy of if you have to ask the question, then perhaps that's the answer in itself. On this one, you can always choose to get it. You can, even though it's less than $250, you can choose to get it. I would probably differ from you, Nathaniel. I would err on the side of getting the appraisal.
Okay.
But I think the purpose of this question is to let the underwriters out there know underwriting's an art. It's not the SOPs. There's a lot of gray areas. Last question is: we know as a PLP lender we can clear the 912 form ourselves, any misdemeanor in any three misdemeanors over 10 years old. The question is, what do we do then? Do we do an additional background check? What if we have a concern the applicant's not being truthful? And the answer, I'll go on this one, Nathaniel. I believe the answer is you would do what you would do on your non-SBA loans. The SOP doesn't direct you to do anything further. But if you would do a background check on a non-SBA loan, then I would certainly do it on this loan. What do you think about that?
I agree.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, what do they call that? Nexus? You familiar with that service?
Please, elaborate.
Well, Nexus is a way that you can do a background check on businesses and borrowers. And many banks use that for their non-SBA loans. And some of the banks that I've reviewed, in fact, all the banks I've reviewed for their non-SBA loans, the real estate loans included, they use the Nexus. They do a background check on every borrower.
Yeah, you could certainly go ahead and do that. And
Yeah.
If you're asking the question, I would do it. Let's talk about week 8. We finish up the rest of SBA loan forms. Talk about equity injection. I'm telling you right now, the reason why I want the underwriter involved, I believe this is an underwriter function as well as a closing function, but I think you need to know all of these rules. Number one source of guaranteed repairs and denials, I believe it's prudent for you to be getting that documentation at the underwriting stage. How do you feel about that, Nathaniel? Do you agree with that, or should we let the loan closers deal with that?
It should be dealt with at the underwriting stage because you don't want to have a surprise when it gets to closing.
Exactly.
Because it's very critical.
Yeah, and I even say it should be at the BDO stage. We talk about franchise financing, a lot of Coleman report reading materials next week. Business acquisition, leasehold documentation, and we talk about construction loans. Nathaniel, my takeaway in construction loans is on that one, I wouldn't get too worried about the documentation. I would let the loan closing department do that. All you need to know as an underwriter, you're going to do construction loans the same way that you would do your conventional loans. Only difference is SBA tells you if it's over $10,000, you need to do some sort of fund control or explain why you didn't do that. But I was light on that. I signed the reading assignment and said, don't worry about it. The closer will get the forms. Nothing special on SBA versus conventional. Do you agree with me?
I agree, except for you want to make sure that the contractor is cleared before you get too far in it, because
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And also, you want to make sure that the construction contract and use of proceeds detailed in the construction contract makes sense.
Yeah, and you're going to do that with the conventional. You're going to do that with the conventional loan. That's what I'm saying. You're going to be doing this stuff anyway. So, anyway, so construction I wouldn't be worried about, and then we talk about the SBA Form 159, and then we go to weeks 9 and 10. We'll be doing credit memos and loan authorizations. We're going to do a credit memo on Gray's Dry Cleaning, the loan under $350,000 credit memo and analysis. And then week 10, we'll do the credit memo of loans over $350,000 with Franklin Brothers. Heads up, next Friday I'm out of pocket, so we're not going to have office hours. And the following week we'll have office hours on Thursday because of the holiday on July 3rd. If you have any questions, please email me. I will have that. So we will have one more wrap-up office hours. Again, I encourage you to take the final by doing the credit memorandum. It's your call. We'll also have the 50 multiple choice quiz from that standpoint. And with that, do we have any questions? Hey,
clarification. You said it's LexisNexis.
Who said that?
Joshua.
Oh, someone said it's LexisNexis.
Okay, LexisNexis. That's absolutely correct.
Thank you for that, Joshua. We appreciate it. So keep sending your feedback, and you'll enjoy this week. It's heavy on the reading, but if nothing else, skim it, set it aside, and do it later. But I think we've done a pretty good job in covering those topics. With that, have a nice weekend. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.